Europe's biggest countries are losing their people, and it's not what you think. It's happening right now, and it could change everything. Italy, Spain, Greece, people are running, but not for the reasons you'd expect. What's going wrong, and why should you care? First up, Romania. Romania is at the heart of one of the most dramatic population shifts in Europe, with over 3.4 million citizens having left the country in the last decade alone. This is not just a statistic, it's a profound reshaping of a nation's social and economic fabric. Imagine towns where schools are half empty, hospitals are struggling to find doctors, and entire rural villages feel like ghost towns. But why are so many Romanians leaving? The answer lies in a cocktail of economic stagnation, systemic corruption, and the allure of better opportunities abroad. Romania boasts one of the lowest average wages in the European Union, leaving millions to scrape by, while neighboring countries offer far more lucrative prospects. Skilled professionals like doctors, engineers, and IT specialists are leaving in droves for places like Germany, the UK, and Italy. These nations promise not just higher paychecks, but also professional growth and recognition. For young Romanians, the future looks particularly bleak. Youth unemployment remains high, and many recent graduates feel trapped in a system that doesn't reward innovation or ambition. With limited opportunities at home, their only choice is to seek greener pastures elsewhere. The exodus is felt most acutely in Romania's rural regions. Once thriving agricultural hubs are now marked by abandoned homes and overgrown fields. Decades of underinvestment have left these areas devoid of infrastructure and services, driving families to either move to urban centers or leave the country entirely. The stark divide between rural and urban areas is growing, with little hope for revitalization. Then there's the corruption, a persistent shadow over Romania's potential. Public funds are often mismanaged, and trust in government institutions is at an all-time low. Many citizens feel that their voices go unheard and their needs unmet, compounding the sense of hopelessness that drives them to leave. Romania is bleeding talent and youth, and the consequences are dire. Without bold reforms to address economic inequality, support rural development, and rebuild trust in governance, the country risks a future defined by stagnation and decline. Hey, did you know more of you are watching than actually subscribed? If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button and join our community. We'd love to have you with us. Thanks for watching. Number 2, Bulgaria. Let me ask you something. What would make you leave your home, your roots, your family? For over 1.5 million Bulgarians, the answer is simple: survival. Bulgaria's wages are among the lowest in the European Union, averaging just a fraction of what people earn elsewhere. That's why year after year, its people trade the charm of home for better pay abroad. Here's the math. You work all month, but the bills, they swallow your paycheck whole. And what about dreams? Those don't pay off here. But here's where it gets even scarier. It's not just the economy. Bulgaria is bleeding its future, its talent. Doctors, engineers, teachers, gone. Empty villages, overgrown fields, schools without children. Bulgaria is a nation losing its soul. But then what happens to those who stay behind? The elderly abandoned in ghost towns, children growing up without siblings, cousins, or neighbors. What's more heartbreaking, the silent streets or the silent dreams? Tell me which would haunt you more. You're probably thinking, so what's the solution, George? What can a country do when its people are slipping through its fingers? Well, the answer isn't simple, but it begins here by understanding the problem. It's corruption, it's broken leadership, it's the system itself. Therefore, people don't just leave for better money, they leave for better lives. Here's the real question: can Bulgaria turn this around before it's too late? What if there was a way to create opportunities at home, to inspire trust and leadership, to rebuild the villages and dreams? Imagine a Bulgaria where staying is a choice, not a compromise. Would you fight for that? Or would you let it slip away? Number 3, Italy. Italy, the land of love, laughter, and la dolce vita. But behind every romantic postcard and every bowl of pasta, there's a story, one of beauty, struggle, and resilience. A story that, if we don't pay attention, might quietly slip away. Think about this. What happens when the most beautiful country in the world starts to feel fragile? When the weight of its history clashes with the demands of a fast-changing world? Stick with me, because this story isn't just about Italy, it's about all of us. Italy is a land of contrasts. It's ancient yet alive with modern energy. It's globally admired but grappling with deep challenges at home. How do you balance that? How do you move forward without losing yourself? Let's take a closer look. The breathtaking landscapes, the art that shapes civilization, the food that feels like a warm embrace. This is Italy's magic, but magic alone can't fix reality. Beneath the surface lies a conflict brewing for decades. Italy is shrinking. Over the last 50 years, its population has steadily declined. Entire villages, once filled with laughter and life, now stand silent, ghosts of a bygone era. Why? Because young Italians are leaving, chasing dreams in bigger cities or moving abroad, leaving their hometowns behind. Birth rates have plummeted to historic lows. Think about it, Italy now has one of the oldest populations in the world. Fewer children mean fewer families to carry on the traditions that define Italian culture. But it's not just numbers, it's something deeper. It's the fear of losing what makes Italy, Italy. The Sunday dinners with 3 generations at the table, the festivals where the whole town comes alive, the essence of community that's impossible to replicate. If this continues, entire pieces of Italy's soul might disappear forever. But then there's another side to the story. An Italy that refuses to fade quietly into the background. Families rediscovering their roots in small towns. Entrepreneurs breathing new life into centuries-old traditions. People choosing to rewrite the narrative. They left the hustle of city life for something slower, something richer. They tell me it's like stepping back in time, but with hope for the future. And here's the kicker, some towns are so desperate for new life, they're offering cash incentives to people willing to move in. Did you know Italy has over 5,000 towns with fewer than 5,000 residents? Some of these places have been around since Roman times. Now imagine them vanishing in our lifetime. If you had a chance to be part of that story, would you take it? Or would you let time erase it? Number 4. Greece. A land where philosophy was born, where democracy took its first steps, and where the sea kisses the shores in endless whispers. That's Greece, breathtaking, eternal, and deeply proud. But what if I told you this ancient land is quietly bleeding? Bleeding its most precious resource, not its marble, not its olives, but its people. Every year, tens of thousands of young Greeks leave their homeland behind. Why? Because they feel like there's no place for them here, no room to grow, no future to build. Think about this, Greece loses over 40,000 skilled workers every year. Engineers, doctors, educators, they're not just leaving, they're fleeing. But why, you might ask? Let me introduce you to Maria. She graduated top of her class in engineering, brimming with ideas to innovate Greece's infrastructure. But instead of designing skyscrapers, she spends her days waiting tables for 600 euros a month. And Maria's not alone. Over 25% of young Greeks are unemployed. That's 1 in 4, left with nothing but shattered dreams. But then, they leave. To Berlin, to London, to Melbourne, places where their talents are recognized, places where they're paid fairly. And for many, it's not a choice, it's survival. A better life abroad, but at what cost? Every person who leaves creates a ripple. Families are torn apart. Villages are left to age without renewal. Schools in rural Greece are shutting down because there aren't enough children to fill their classrooms. Greece isn't just losing its workers, it's losing its future. But wait, it's not just about jobs, it's about trust or the lack of it. Greece has been through crises, from the 2008 financial meltdown to austerity measures that crippled the nation. Taxes skyrocketed, pensions were slashed, and public services fell apart. For many Greeks, it feels like their government turned its back on them. Let's talk healthcare. Nearly half of Greece's medical graduates leave the country. Imagine needing surgery and waiting months because there aren't enough doctors. This is the reality for millions. Greece's brightest minds are building careers elsewhere while their homeland struggles. Can you blame them? So what happens to those who stay? They endure, they adapt, they fight. But they're fighting an uphill battle against corruption, against stagnation, against a system that seems broken beyond repair. And yet, they love this land. So what's the solution? How does Greece stop the bleeding? Because here's the truth, Greece is more than its history. It's more than its islands or its ruins. Greece is its people. Without them, there is no Greece. The soul of this nation doesn't live in the Parthenon. It lives in the hearts of those who carry its legacy forward. Number 5, Portugal. Home to some of the world's most stunning coastlines, legendary explorers, and a culture as rich as its port wine, it's the place where time slows down, where sunsets over the Atlantic are rivaled only by the warmth of its people. But here's the paradox: while Portugal feels like the perfect escape, many of its citizens feel trapped, and for them the only escape is to leave. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever thought about what happens when a country becomes the getaway spot for millions of tourists, but not a place its own people want to stay? This is Portugal's silent crisis, a nation adored by outsiders, but quietly abandoned by its youth. Meet João and Sofia. They're in their late 20s, both university graduates, brimming with dreams of starting their own business. But here's the catch: the average starting salary in Portugal is just 1,000 euros a month, barely enough to cover rent, bills, and groceries for João and Sofia. The math just doesn't add up. Staying means struggling. Leaving? That's the door to opportunity. So, like over 2 million other Portuguese citizens, they leave. London, Paris, Zurich, these cities have become second homes for a generation seeking better pay and stability. And here's the kicker: many of them don't want to leave. They have no choice. It's not ambition driving them away, it's desperation. Now, think about what happens when so many young people leave. Schools shut down, communities shrink. Small towns become ghost towns. The vibrancy Portugal is known for, the music, the festivals, the traditions, it all begins to fade. But it's not just about economics, it's about identity. Portugal is losing more than its workforce. It's losing the very people who carry its culture forward. And what about the families left behind? The parents who only see their children through a screen. The grandparents who worry they'll never see their grandchildren again. Emigration doesn't just take people, it takes connection, it takes joy, it takes the very essence of what makes Portugal home. Portugal is a land of contrasts. It's a dream destination for millions of tourists each year. But for those who call it home, the dream is often out of reach. High taxes, low wages, and an uncertain future force them to ask one painful question: can I really build a life here? Can Portugal become more than a place people escape to? Can it also be a place where its own people thrive? Because without them, Portugal's story, its vibrant, soul-stirring story, might just fade into silence. If you're still with us, what's been your thoughts so far? The comment section is open for suggestions. Number 6, France. Imagine this: you're sitting in a quaint Parisian cafe. The aroma of fresh croissants fills the air, and life feels like a dream. But then, reality hits, the check arrives, and suddenly your wallet feels a lot lighter. And that's not the only thing weighing you down. Why are so many French people living in one of the world's most beautiful countries saying goodbye to their homeland? Is it just the rising cost of baguettes, or is there something deeper? Today we're diving into the heart of France's emigration wave. It's not just about leaving a place, it's about leaving a life, a culture, a dream. And trust me, the reasons might surprise you. France, a country known for love, wine, and the finer things in life, comes with a price tag. And it's not just high, it's sky high. Rent in Paris. A cozy apartment could cost you more than your monthly salary. It's not just Paris. Even in smaller cities like Lyon or Marseille, the cost of living is climbing, leaving families struggling to make ends meet. And in rural areas, sure, it's cheaper, but finding a job, that's like finding a needle in a haystack. So people are asking themselves, why stay in a place where I can't thrive? But then, there's something else. France has some of the best universities in the world, yet nearly 20% of young people can't find jobs after graduating. Imagine working hard, getting your degree, dreaming big, only to face endless rejection. It's crushing, isn't it? For many, the solution isn't to keep fighting the system, it's to leave it all together. They're chasing opportunity, innovation, and the promise of a future that feels brighter. And then there's the infamous French tax system. Sure, it funds universal healthcare, education, and a great social safety net, but when nearly half of your income disappears into taxes, you start to wonder, is it worth it? Small business owners, innovators, and even creatives are feeling squeezed. Some are moving to places like Switzerland or the UAE, where they can keep more of what they earned. If you were in their shoes, would you stay? Or would you leave for greener pastures? But it's not just economics driving people away. France has been rocked by protests, strikes, and deep social divides. Movements like the Yellow Vests have exposed a growing rift between urban and rural communities, rich and poor, tradition and progress. This constant tension leaves many feeling disconnected from their government, their neighbors, even their own identity. France is evolving. Immigration, globalization, and secularism have brought new flavors to the French identity. For some, it's a celebration of diversity. For others, it's a loss of tradition. This cultural tug-of-war is making people question, does France still feel like home? For those who leave, the promise of a better life outweighs the pain of leaving everything behind. But is it the right choice? Do you think this video deserves more eyes? Prove it. Smash that like button and share it with someone who needs a little enlightenment today. Number 7, Spain. Have you ever wondered what it's like to watch your dreams slip through your fingers, right before your eyes? Well, that's exactly what millions of young people in Spain are facing right now. In the land of sun, sangria, and siestas, people are leaving, and not just a few, but in droves. But why? What's causing this sudden exodus? The answer might just shock you. You see, Spain is caught in a web of turmoil, a web so tangled that many are saying we're done, and the scariest part? The issues driving people out might hit closer to home than you think. Now, let's set the stage. Spain, once the pride of Europe, was a country where history and culture collided in the most vibrant ways. But beneath the colorful streets of Madrid and the architectural beauty of Barcelona, things are starting to crumble. Spain has one of the highest unemployment rates in Europe, and young Spaniards, they're caught in the chaos. A staggering 40% of them can't even find a stable job. But then, something changed. The dream of a prosperous life, once so vivid and attainable, turned into a nightmare. Spain's economy, still reeling from the 2008 financial crash, has never quite fully recovered. The crisis left deep scars that now run through every Spanish family, every hopeful graduate, every working citizen. But it's not just the job market that's sending people packing. Oh no, it's much deeper than that. Imagine waking up in a city where you've spent years building your life only to realize it's now out of reach. That's the cold, hard reality for many young Spaniards. They look around and wonder, is this all there is? Is this the future we've been promised? And when the answer is no, they do what anyone would do. They leave. They seek out more affordable options in places that actually offer a future. But what happens when a country's brightest, its most talented, and its hardest working leave in search of better opportunities? That's right, you're left with a vacuum, a void where there's no one left to drive the economy forward. The government's inability to reach consensus, to truly address the needs of its people, has created a level of disillusionment that many can no longer ignore. Citizens began losing faith in a system that no longer seemed capable of moving Spain forward. When leadership falters, when promises go unmet, the people begin to lose trust. And when trust is gone, well, so is the country's future. Spain has potential, no doubt about it. But without major change, without new leadership and an economic revival, the exodus will continue. The key here isn't to wait for change, but to create it, because the longer this goes on, the more impossible it becomes to stay. Your voice is really crucial to this discussion. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments. Number 8, Hungary. What if I told you that one of Europe's brightest stars is fading? What if the country that once thrived on its rich culture and history is now struggling to hold on to its future? Hungary is witnessing something no one thought possible, a mass exodus. But why is this happening? It's not just the economy, it's not just politics, it's the fears that have taken root in the hearts of its people. And the scariest part, it could happen anywhere. Hungary, the land of stunning architecture, delicious cuisine, and rich traditions. But beneath the surface, things aren't as rosy as they seem. The young, the educated, the ambitious, many of them are leaving. And it's happening faster than anyone expected. Why? Well, the first issue is politics. Hungary's political landscape is becoming increasingly unstable. The government's growing authoritarian stance, restrictions on freedom of speech, and constant clashes with the EU have left many feeling disillusioned. But then, the wall started to close in. The people who once believed in a democratic Hungary started to feel like they were living in a place that was no longer their own. But there's more. The economy, while somewhat stable, doesn't offer much hope for those who want to build a future, especially for the young and educated. Skilled workers, especially in fields like technology and engineering, are looking to leave for more robust job markets abroad. And who can blame them? The future's not here, it's somewhere else. Imagine being a young professional, brimming with potential, eager to make your mark. But then you look around, and the opportunities, they're limited, so what do? You leave. You pack up and head to places like Germany, where the job market is booming, or the UK, where salaries are higher and conditions are better. But then, what happens when the best and brightest leave? That's right, you've got a brain drain. And a country without its most talented citizens isn't a country at all. It's a hollow shell. Hungary is losing its future, one person at a time. And that's the fear. The fear that one day there will be no one left to fix the problems, to rebuild what's broken. The fear that Hungary's best days are behind it. Right now, Hungary's government is at a crossroads. The people want change, but can the system adapt? The question remains, will the nation's leadership realize the damage being done and take action before it's too late? Or will they wait until the brightest minds leave for good? The people are angry, they're frustrated, and when frustration turns to action, well, that's when things get dangerous. The political instability is pushing many toward a tipping point, and that's the fear: a nation divided, a future uncertain. But this could be a wake-up call. Can Hungary learn from its mistakes and rebuild, or will this exodus continue to grow? Number 9. Germany. What if I told you that Germany, Europe's mighty anchor, is quietly unraveling? A land known for its precision, its power, its prowess, now standing at the crossroads of an uncertain future. How did we get here? And what's next for the beating heart of Europe? Picture Germany in your mind, a well-oiled machine. From the Black Forest to Berlin, it's a country of engineering marvels and disciplined efficiency. A place where everything runs on time, on track, on point. But behind the scenes, this story isn't as seamless as it seems. Beneath the autobahns and factory floors, a storm is brewing, one that could shake not just Germany, but the entire world. Let's start with what's going wrong. First, the workforce is shrinking. Germany is aging. By 2030, nearly 1 in 3 Germans will be over 60. Think about that. An economy built on productivity and precision now faces a dilemma. Fewer people to do the work, more people relying on government support. But then there's energy. Germany's bold move to phase out nuclear power, a decision made in the wake of Fukushima, was hailed as forward-thinking. But now, it's a ticking time bomb. The country is scrambling for solutions, importing energy, and even turning back to coal. In a nation that once led the charge for renewable energy, this feels like a betrayal of its own ideals. And as if that weren't enough, Germany's once unshakable industrial might is losing ground. China, the US, even neighboring France are pulling ahead in technology and innovation. Germany, the birthplace of the printing press and the car, is now playing catch-up in the digital age. How did this happen? If Germany falters, it's not just a German problem. It's a European problem. It's a global problem. Germany is the backbone of the European Union, the stabilizer of markets, the quiet giant that keeps things moving. What happens if the giant stumbles? Imagine a world where German innovation slows to a crawl, where its factories shut down one by one, where its economy no longer props up the EU. Do you feel that unease creeping in? You should, because this isn't just about Germany, this is about all of us. So what's really happening here? Let's take a step back. Germany is a country of planners, not risk takers. Its success was built on doing what it does best: engineering excellence, meticulous processes, and export dominance. But the world has changed. It's faster, more digital, more unpredictable. Germany's greatest strength, its precision, is starting to look like a liability. Take the auto industry, for example. For decades, German cars were the gold standard. But as the world shifts to electric vehicles, companies like Tesla are leaving Germany's giants in the dust. Why? Because Germany was too slow to adapt, too caught up in perfecting the combustion engine to see the electric future barreling toward it. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine waking up in a world where Germany is no longer an economic powerhouse, where the systems you rely on, the global supply chains, the stable euro, the innovation that drives progress, start to crumble. It's terrifying, isn't it? Because if Germany, the country that everyone looks to for stability, can falter, what does that mean for the rest of us? But here's the thing about Germany, it's no stranger to crisis. This is a country that rebuilt itself from the ashes of 2 world wars, that rose to lead Europe after reunification, that has faced the impossible before and emerged stronger every time. And now, Germany is starting to fight back. It's investing billions in renewable energy, doubling down on immigration to fill workforce gaps, and pouring resources into AI and digital tech. But will it be enough? Or has the storm already done too much damage? The truth is, Germany's future isn't just up to Germany. It's up to all of us. The choices its leaders make will ripple across the globe. And the pressure is on. So let me ask you, what do you think? Can Germany rise to the challenge? Or is this the beginning of the end for Europe's powerhouse? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just a story about Germany, it's a story about the world we want to live in. Number 10, the United Kingdom. Think of the UK, a place where the echoes of history meet the pulse of modernity. Red buses roll through London's buzzing streets, while centuries-old castles stand as silent witnesses to a powerful past. From the industrial roots of Manchester to the poetic charm of Edinburgh, the UK has always been a tapestry of resilience and creativity. But something feels off. Brexit came and went, but the ripples remain. Conversations about independence for Scotland and Northern Ireland are getting louder. And the NHS, once the pride of Britain, seems to be gasping for air. The United Kingdom is more than just a name. It's a union of 4 distinct nations, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, woven together by history, yet each with its own identity. But that unity is under strain. Scotland is pushing for another independence referendum, arguing it was forced into Brexit against its will. Northern Ireland faces the shadow of its tumultuous past, caught in a post-Brexit limbo. And Wales, it's quietly finding its own voice, seeking recognition in ways it hasn't before. And then there's the economy. Inflation is soaring, groceries cost more, and energy bills are leaving families to make impossible choices. Even the NHS, a cornerstone of British life, is struggling. Waiting lists stretch endlessly, and staff shortages leave people wondering if help will come when they need it most. But then the UK has faced storms before. The Blitz, economic recessions, political upheavals. It's a nation that knows how to weather challenges. And even now, seeds of resilience are sprouting. London remains a global financial hub, while cities like Manchester and Birmingham are transforming into tech and cultural hotspots. Startups are thriving, artists are creating, and communities are stepping up to support one another in ways that inspire hope. The UK's cultural influence hasn't waned either. Think about it, British music, literature, and film still set trends and capture imaginations worldwide. And let's not forget the royal family, a symbol of continuity in a rapidly changing world. The pieces for recovery are there, but putting them together requires something more: unity, innovation, and the courage to adapt. Here's a thought to chew on. What happens if the UK can't pull itself together? What if the United Kingdom becomes just the kingdom? Imagine a future where the union dissolves, and with it, the stability that so many have taken for granted. The world feels that loss, not just Britain. Markets would shudder, alliances would weaken, and the ripple effects could be global.